Welcome to our AFCON Daily Digest. Today we're looking at where it all kicks off on Sunday, the 9th of January. Hosts Cameroon kick off in the Stade Olembe before Ethiopia take on Cape Verde later in the day. Will the Indomitable Lions lift the trophy on home soil? Can the Stallions do one better than they did in 2013? Will the sleeping giants of Ethiopia finally wake up? And will the Cape Verde national side continue their remarkable revolution over the last decade? To find out, stay with us at OTW_podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and On the Whistle on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast, as we cover all aspects of the tournament. First up, though, I caught up with On the Whistle's man on the ground and Cameroonian football guru, Francis Nkwain.
Well, I think it's safe to say African fever is finally hit. It's taken maybe the arrivals of a good number of teams on a daily basis. Now we're hearing X team landed in Douala, X teams landed in and people are beginning to accept that the tournament will finally take place. We've had a lot of, I think people had just guarded themselves against disappointment because of the precedent. So a lot of people weren't too sure if it would actually take place. So, but now seeing teams arriving and seeing buses with team names emblazoned on them, driving across the city, people are beginning to catch that little party vibe. And yeah, it's nice. You're seeing jerseys all over the place now and flags, and it feels like something's about to get started. So.
Yeah, I mean, so excited for everything to kick off. I just wanted to kind of cast our eyes back kind of over the last few years for Cameroon. You know, it's been a bit of a kind of roller coaster a few kind of years. You know, you've had a bit of infighting in Cameroon. Some players, you know, like Joel Matip have refused to play for the team. But then you also had that sensational win in 2017, of course, kind of going all the way and winning the AFCON. Where do you see the squad right now in terms of kind of how is there much harmony, or do you have a sense that the team is together and united for this tournament?
Well, again, I think the Cameroon team is not too dissimilar in terms of the European teams to the German team. We are very tournament dependable nation. So it's kind of like you want to see the first 3 games to really know if a group is up for it or not. These guys, I think there's a lot of continuity in what we have at present. There are about 6 or 7 players who were part of the 2017 squad that won it in Gabon, who are still young and have a lot to offer. We have less stories about infighting or disputes. A lot of those things were rooted in organization, to be honest. And I think the organization around the national team is a lot better. There's a lot more space given to, or a chord given to the voices of the players. And so the facilities they use, the way they travel, the way invitations are sent out, even the way the team is turned over under the new coach, Conceição, he gives a lot of players the opportunity to play, which I guess for some, that could have been a frustration in the past if you would fly all of 17 hours to join your national team and you don't get a minute and you have to go back to your club and you think you're deserving of some minutes, maybe not 90, but you don't even get those. Some coaches in the past had stuck maybe to a core 14, core 16. But under the new coach, you get this feeling that he uses his squads. Even when some people are questioning why even some of the talent get 2 minutes or 20 minutes, he makes it a point to make sure everybody feels involved. So it's really nice to see, and it's given birth to a lot of hope that at the very least, the nation would not be disgraced, because I think that's the key position when you're a host, is nothing embarrassing. You don't get turfed in the first round. So I think expectation is quite manageable at present, and we're just looking forward to seeing what those first 3 group games will look like.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a sense on Tony Conceição? You know, he's done fairly well since joining in 2019. You know, topping their AFCON qualifying group and then topping a really tough World Cup qualifying group with Ivory Coast. Right now, is there a lot of kind of support for him in the kind of the squad and the country as a whole?
I think what's amazing about him, and I think most of the coaches that have done really well in Cameroon have been those who have let results speak for them. And I think he has done that particularly well. We have very little, there's very little, how would I say this? We don't feel his presence, so to speak. And I think in our space, that is a real attribute. I think it's something beautiful because he doesn't cast a big shadow. He does his job. He's not, you don't feel there's an ego in place that has an opinion on the nature of our national league or the absence, therefore, of that league, or whether players or conditions are not favorable. He seems to just get on with the job, and you don't hear him complain. You don't hear him talk about wanting to lift the quality of the national game. He just seems to be like, I understand what it is I need to do, and I'll let my results speak for me. And I think the greatest tribute we could give to him is that it almost feels like he is on a project, and the litmus test isn't whether or not he's winning this African Cup of Nations, but if he's building a new purpose behind our national team, where people understand that they have a place and a duty when they get there. And that's what most people appreciate at present. But at this one point in time, I'd also like to, on behalf of the OTW team, extend our condolences to him. He lost his brother, I believe, about 4 days ago. And the mark of the man is that he's made no point of it. He's continued with his job. And it's this quality in his character that I think a lot of people respect. And you hear very few Cameroonians have anything negative to say about him. And that's because he hasn't put himself in the position where he's made a whip for his own back with a comment or two. So we wish them all the best. We like the work he's doing. And we hope at the heart of the work he's doing on the pitch is also building the kind of systems that allow us to have the management and the control of our national team with nationals as well. So there is that transfer of knowledge between the amazing foreign coach that he is, but the nationals who are also a part of his team.
Yeah, absolutely. Our thoughts, prayers are with him, and kind of hopefully he can kind of both have the time to grieve and to still perform really well at the AFCON. I mean, moving on to the squad, obviously the biggest talking point looking at this team is the inclusion of Andre Onana, who, obviously had this really horrible, fluky year where he missed out on so much because of that drugs ban. But how him coming back into the squad, how big is that for the team, both in terms of him as a top level goalkeeper, but also as a leader of the team?
I think it's a really, really wonderful thing. He's an amazing athlete, a true professional. He's at the very top of his game. At least he was at the time where the ban began, and he seems to have picked up where he left off. It's also very nice to see that in a position like goalkeeping, Africa is really experiencing a fantastic period in history, whether we're looking at people like Mendy, who's at Chelsea, or Onana at Ajax. There are a lot of African goalkeepers who are stepping up to the plate. They are leaders in their space, and it's a very exciting time. Even in the Cameroon squad, if you're looking at goalkeepers like Apasi, who did a fantastic job in the absence of Onana, we're blessed with choices. So I think it's a good option for the coach to have that level of quality available to him. But as a nation, I think a lot of Cameroons are very excited about having Onana back. He is one of those old school, new school guys. There's something very old school in his style, but he's very new school in his attitude. And he brings a certain energy and a great sense of leadership and a sense of responsibility to his role within the national team that can only help the other teammates who may be new to the space. And in tournament football, you need character, you need luck, but you need talent. And I think he has all three. The luck may have eluded him for 9 months, but it seems to be back because there are other people whose careers would be done after that. But he's a lucky boy in the sense that he has the opportunity to shine at a tournament like this at a time when his contract also with Ajax is pretty much up. So he can play his way into a new contract at a new, bigger club, possibly. So he has a lot of motivations. And we look forward to seeing what he'll do on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, and credit to him for kind of maintaining his professionalism and his, both physically and technically keeping up over the last kind of 9 months. It's incredible.
Indeed.
I mean, looking at the rest of the squad, kind of what jumps out to me were the words that I think of when I look at is kind of solid, but not spectacular. I see some really good players in Nkwain, Anguissa, Ponsa Abubakar, who obviously scored in the final in 2017, and a couple others like Toko Kambe and Baskog. But when I compare it to the teams of, Senegal, Algeria, Nigeria, there's not the kind of, there's no Samuel Eto'o in this squad. There's no kind of star-studded players. How far do you think this Cameroonian side can go? Because like you said earlier, if we associate anything with Cameroon, it's tournament pedigree. Regardless of how good this team is, they always perform well. 2017, I didn't think they had a particularly strong squad, and yet they won it. Incredible pedigree. So how far what are the expectations on them, and how far do you think they can actually go?
Well, I think they can go as far as the team wants to go, and home advantage is no small matter. They'll have a crowd behind them that will motivate them. And I think we must remember it's a team sport. Sometimes when you have the stellar names, you have the issues that you alluded to at the very beginning of our conversation, because then you have these ego brush-ups and you have maybe some friction just because one person thinks they're a bigger star than another or whatever it is. At this point in time, you really see this team and you get a sense of a family. You get a sense of continuity. You get a sense of an understanding amongst themselves as to where it is they want to get to. And where they want to get to, I believe, from speaking with quite a few of the lads, is to put a smile on their fellow citizens' faces. What I find particularly exciting about the team is that it is full of talent. They're all really accomplished footballers in professional terms. They are not stars in the sense that we don't have the big league players, again, Cameroon in same numbers. Yes, we have a Choupo-Moting who is at Bayern Munich. We have a Zambo Anguissa at Napoli. Toko Kambi, who I absolutely love, is doing phenomenal things, feet and head. He speaks well, he has a great understanding of the game, but he's applying himself at the highest levels in phenomenal fashion. But a lot of our talents are young men like Nuhu Tolu, or even the young right back Baizo, Olivier, who are playing out in the MLS. These are new world leagues. They're spaces that accommodate talent in the same way Europe used to in the 80s and the 90s. But the difference is, with a very Eurocentric view we have of football at present, we tend to look just within that European space and we say we don't have the stars because they're not in that Eurocentric space. But a talent like Christian Basadog is still the player he was in 2017. As a matter of fact, he's a better player than he was in 2017. But we would interpret the level of play he has at present to be lesser simply because he's in China, and we have an attitude that would disrespect that particular space. But the individual's talent hasn't evaporated. His sense of professionalism has only increased. His confidence in self and in his talent has also increased. And I think with a coach like this who hasn't stopped bringing in talent from across the globe, Coach Conceição is also demonstrating the ability for a nation to have a truly global team. So the Lions now are almost what we would dare say global. You have enough of that Cameroonian essence in them, but they are a true part and a true belonging of the world. And I think because they have this sense of togetherness, they have the potential to go as far as they choose to, and as far as their supporters also encourage them to get to. So tournament football needs that little bit of luck. If they get the rub of the green and the sun's too hot, but you get that 1-0 victory and you skip on to the next stages or to the next rounds, when you get to that knockout stage, then it's as good as whoever's in front of you. So people hope, but there is a little sense of belief as well, because if you look at the results on the Conceição, they have spoken for themselves. Not many defeats. They may not have as many victories, but they're a hard team to beat. And if they're also going to be playing at home, I want to believe they'd be even harder to beat. And that's what tournament football really is about.
Francis has certainly got me believing in Cameroon more. But standing in their way is a Burkina Faso side who are looking to bounce back after they failed to qualify for the 2019 edition of the AFCON. Since then, though, they have gone undefeated in competitive competition, both in the qualifying for this tournament and in the World Cup qualifiers. I spoke to Abdoul Karim Ouedraogo about this transformation.
I think the team have improved because of new coming players, because the team was there since even before 2013, because you remember in 2013 they reached the final of the AFCON, where they lost against Nigeria. But the team was there a long time, and the players, some of them were retiring, and it has taken time. I think one of the reasons that the Burkina has not been qualified for the AFCON in Egypt was the fact that most of the players were going out of their, and they have some are not competitive on the different teams, and it has blocked a bit the progression of the Stallion. And since we came now with a new generation of players, and these new generation of players are playing at somehow high level in some teams in Europe. You know the case of Bertrand Traoré playing. He played with Chelsea. He went back to Ajax, and he came back. He went to France with Lyon before going back to the Premier League with Aston Villa. We have young players in some teams here in Africa. In Egypt, we have some players like Dayo, who has a kind of experience in the team. We have some players very young coming now, like players like Nasser Diga, but unfortunately this one is not coming to the AFCON because he preferred to stay with the team rather than joining the Stallions. And this new generation of players have made it possible, and they are very progressive. Some players like Tapsoba playing in Germany. All these players are a new generation of players, and they are young. And I think it's one of the reasons of the progression of the team for these qualifiers. And after the qualifiers, the new coach also have made an input on the team, because it's at his first experience of managing a national team. He used to manage the local teams, so it's the first time he's managing a national team. But he need to give his way of doing things, the management of the team, and they want to inculcate the fighting spirit on the team, and he has given the space to young players who has taken the advantage, and they are improving now. That's why for the qualifier of the World Cup, they have been about to qualify, and the drawn 2 games with Algeria, which is one of the best teams now in Africa. They played more than 30 games without being defeated. So I think it's a kind of new generation of player coming to this AFCON for the Stallions.
Yeah, absolutely. That must have been a big decision from the coach Kamumalo to move on a lot of these old players, because there was a lot of very experienced players in this team. Charles Kabore, Alain Traore, and Abdourazak Traore in particular. When he moved those guys on just in the last year, was that a difficult decision? How was it received when he did it?
It was a very difficult decision for him. First of all, it's a local manager, because if it's a foreigner, it's easier for him to take these players out because he has less pressure. But being a local manager, he have the pressure of the players, and because they have their fan clubs in the country, so it was very difficult for him to remove them. But fortunately for him, when he removed them, he have seen an improvement in the way of playing. Not even because they have individual qualities, but we have as a team, we are seeing something coming out on the way he's playing, and I think it's easier for him to put pressure on the young player rather than old players like Charles Kabores or Alain Traore, who have a long experience with the national team. And, but it has been a strong decision, but he achieved because some players like Charles Kabore were having some challenges because when he left Russia, he was looking for a team, and it has been difficult for him to find a team. And I think it's contributed to leave all of these players out of the system.
Mm-hmm. I mean, before we came on, you were talking to me a bit about kind of the impact of the new FA, the new federation in charge of Burkina Faso. Can you just tell me a bit about how that has impacted the team? What's happened in that transition, and how has it impacted the preparations?
Okay, right. A new president came in August 2021. They made some election, and a new president came. The former president, who is also a member of CAF, is the member of the executive committee of CAF, is the member of Sita Sangare, who was the president. And he was about to succeed to himself when he was blocked because it's a military by profession, and he has not got the permission of the hierarchy of the army to apply for being the president of the Burkina Faso Football Association. So he brought a new candidate, and when the new came, he was trying to input his way of managing the team. But because of this kind of difficult relationship among the members of his executive committees, he has pushed out 4 members of the executive committee. And they protested and went to court. And the court has taken the decision in favor of those who have been withdrawn because the president have not respected the rules in terms of, because he has the power to nominate, because there is changes in the way of electing the president of the Burkina Football Association. In the past, they were electing a team composed by all executive members are elected by the General Assembly. But from August 2021, it's only the president that is elected and is now appointing a team to be member of the executive committee. But once you appoint the people, you have to register. And once these guys are registered, they are becoming like elected as you. And it's only the General Assembly who can dismiss them, not the president. So it's brought some challenges, and all this has impacted on the preparation at national level because people were discussing the issue, and but fortunately, I think they came together because the minister in charge of sports and the National Olympic Committee president came together and called them to make peace so that we have a good environment around the stallion before they go to Cameroon. And I think this have a bit impacted the preparation of the national team for the AFCON, but I think everything is okay now.
That's good to hear that they've started to be able to resolve that. I mean, in terms of other influences in preparation, obviously COVID-19 has impacted pretty much every team. How has it impacted Burkina Faso in their preparation for the game against Cameroon?
Okay, just 2 days ago, the team were in preparation in Abu Dhabi. They have some preparation, and they even played some friendly match against the first match was against Mauritania, where they drew 0. And the last match was against Gabon, where they won 3-0. And just before the team moves from Abu Dhabi to Yaoundé, 3 players were tested positive to COVID-19. Namely, Issoufou Dayo and Nikema, who has been have not been able to join the team at the first day they came to Cameroon, but they have been tested yesterday negative to COVID-19. And yesterday evening they took their flight to join the team in Yaoundé. This has been the impact of COVID on the team for this preparation stage, and I hope that they will take necessary COVID protocols so that to avoid the team being impacted by the COVID-19.
So those guys will now be available to play on Sunday.
Yes, if
they
have not contracted a new one, they are okay to attend to the opening game against Cameroon.
That's so good to hear. We don't want any team to be missing players or have their preparation foiled by COVID. I mean, finally, I just want to move onto the team itself. I mean, obviously the big one, like you mentioned, is Bertrand Traoré. Everyone knows who he is, a fantastic player. But when I look at the team outside of him, obviously you're missing, Lassina Traoré through, I think, injury, which is a big loss. He's been so good for Ajax and Shakhtar in the last year. Outside of Traoré, who is going to be scoring the goals for Burkina Faso? I look, the last 10 years you've had Aristide Banse, who's been, an icon for Burkina Faso, but I'm at the moment I'm looking at the forward line and struggling to see where the goals are going to come from. Who's going to step up in this young team? Hello, Abdoul Karim?
Yeah, the network is not.
Is failing a bit. That's okay. Yeah, I'm just asking who is going to be stepping up to fill that hole that Aristide Banse left when he retired. Who's going to be the goal scorer for Burkina Faso?
We have some players like let me tell you who is. We have apart from Lassina Traoré, you have like Dango Ouattara. Dango Ouattara is a young player playing in France, and he's progressive. For now, he's not titular on the team, but it will be maybe one of the revelation of this AFCON for Burkina Faso. For now, if you take in absence of Traoré, you have Cheikh Djibril Ouattara, who is a forwarder, is a central striker. You have Zakaria Sanogo. Zakaria Sanogo is a forward up, and he's playing also very well, playing France. You have Abdoul Tapsoba. This one is the one who scored against Algeria when they played they played the first game. They played is the one who scored for Burkina Faso. We also have Mohamed Konate. Mohamed Konate has been also one of the good when they were playing the qualifier of the World Cup. He scored, and he has been part of the team. These are essentially those who can play the key roles in the front. We have some old players like Cyril Barros Bayala, even if he's not on top now because he's not progressive. The past games has not played all the matches. So, but he has a very good experience that he can contribute to the team. You also have Burema Hassan Bande, another striker who can contribute to positively impact can score at any time in the team. But coming back to Bertrand Isidore Traoré, we are fortunate that he's coming back from he was injured and he's coming back. But the good news is that he played the last game with his team Aston Villa, and we think that he progressively will join the team and use his experience because he's a very experienced guy, and he can contribute to the strike. But besides the striker, we have in the middle field some players like Gustavo Sangare and Blati Touré, who can sometimes contribute to create some opportunity of scoring and even scoring themselves. And when it's come to some opportunity of scoring at any time, they can contribute positively. These are some of the I will not miss because when you take the players like Yusuf Dayo, even being a defender, when there are opportunity of some like the corner kick or some opportunity, they are coming and they can contribute because he's an excellent guy in terms of using the head to score. So these are some of people who can contribute to positively impact the offense of Stallion during this tournament.
They certainly have many options up front, but Coach Kamumalo has his work cut out in picking a winning formula. Next up, Ethiopia are one of the teams in Cameroon that is almost entirely homegrown. So who better to talk to about the Walias than Firew Asrat, who works in the Ethiopian Premier League?
I've been returning to the Cup of Nations after 8 years of absence. In 2013, we returned back to the tournament after 31 years. And then there's been like 8 years, we were fearing that we are going to stay another, decades in order to qualify for the AFCON. But thankfully, our national team has, was in a bit of, a very strong team in the qualifying in the qualifying tournament. I'm with Ivory Coast, Madagascar, and Niger. And then we tried to successfully at least win the home games, even if we lost almost all of the away games. But we tried to qualify through the goal difference in the league. So it's a relief. We are not going to stay at least 2 decades or 3 decades in order to re-qualify for the AFCON. So for my generation, it is a second chance for us to watch our national team playing in the AFCON, in the Cup of Nations. So it's a great pleasure for many of us, and then it gives us the hope that our national team one day could qualify to the World Cup, or one day our national team can play, in the knockout stage, or even win back the AFCON like we did in 1962, the third AFCON. Yeah.
And you work for the Ethiopian Premier League, and Ethiopia is one of the teams that has the most number of local based players, only just like one or two playing their trade in North Africa. How important has the growth of the Ethiopian Premier League over the last couple of years been in terms of developing the national squad? Because I look at the squad as a very young squad, one or two older players, but for the most part, a lot of young, hungry players coming from the Ethiopian Premier League. And can you just tell us about how that process has come? The Ethiopian Premier League has grown. How has that impacted the national team?
Well, almost our national team is almost, I can say, 99% is made up of the players from the domestic league. And in the past 2-3 years, our domestic league, the Ethiopian Premier League, has started to get the attention, and the clubs have started to be more of professional. In the last season, the league have already get the chance to be broadcast live in the sub-Saharan Africa through a lucrative deal that would be with the league signed with the Super Sport. So this gives at least a chance for the players to be seen. I mean, it's showcasing the talent back home, and then these good talents have get the chance to play, in the national team. And then if they perform good, in addition to their performance in the domestic league, they could get the chance to play the trade abroad in African leagues, even beyond in Europe and in the Northern America. So our league, has started to be, I can say it is stimulated, especially with the lucrative deal we signed with the broadcasting giants in the South Africa. Things has started to get up, and then people have started to demand a more playable pitch. People have started to demand, a very well organized club structure, because this all comes due to that deal. So we hope that in the coming 2-3 years, our league will get at least to the level, in the mid level of good African leagues, and then we hope so that our clubs will get the chance to be competent in the African clubs championships. So this, by the cumulative effect, will definitely be seen in the national team. At least players will get the chance to play abroad, and then players will get the chance, to be scouted, and then even also people will watch the Ethiopian clubs, and then the league will get fans beyond the borders, the Ethiopian borders, in neighboring countries, and like we do watch the PSL and then also the Tanzanian league in recent years. So things are going up, and then you can see the implications in the national team. That motivation, that stimulation, that spirit is has been transferred to the national team. That's the reason why I say that we are now, as I said, we are sleeping giants. Now something has, we are being awake, and we are on the right track. I can say the Ethiopian football is on the right track, and it will definitely flourish in the coming years.
That's really exciting to hear, and exciting to hear that they're on the way up. In terms of the national team, can you just tell us a bit about the style of play? What kind of football does the national team like to play? And I noticed in qualifying, you said you played 6 games, won 3 at home, lost 3 away. It was good home form, but a couple of those home wins, you beat both Malawi and Madagascar 4-0. So what kind of football is Ethiopia playing to be scoring these amount of goals?
We Ethiopians do love to play the short ball. I mean, the short passes. We do love watch. Can say the tiki-taka inspired football. It's like a culture. You can trace back to the 80s, 70s, and the like. We do love to play, and even the spectators, the fans do like to watch that play of style, the style of play. And then also, if you can come and watch the Ethiopian Premier League, you can feel it that players, coach, even clubs wants to choose to play, the short passes. They prefer to play the ball in the midfield. They prefer to build the ball from the back and then go back again to the front and the like. So that you can watch that in the national team. The mirror effect, of that play of style. We do love to play the short passes. Actually, most of the Ethiopians are not, most of us are not, that much. The players are not much physically built like the Western African and the like. So this is that being physically dominated by other nations. So in order to play the ball, in order to possess the ball, they choose to play the short passes. The one they choose to hold the ball and then to pass to your friends, to build from the back end, and like that's the play of style. But when it comes to success, we are not that much good when it comes to entering to the final third of the game. And then we are also have a big setback in the goalkeeping section. We do love to play the ball. We have the motive to play the ball in the national team, whether you say in the club football, but we are not that much lethal in in the attacking third. We are not that much very cautious when it comes to the defending and the defense department, the goalkeeping one. So if you watch the World Cup qualifiers, most of the goals that we concede were scored due to the blunders made by the goalkeepers, the errors made by the defenders. Even if the players choose to play the ball from the back, the build, they want to make it, I can say it's like a tiki-taka. They want to play the tiki-taka and they want to enter the final set, but most of the time we are not successful with that, and we lose the ball, when in the opponents, or in the danger zones, and then we just, the team get, easily concede goals due to these blunders, from the mistakes that are made by the department and by all these players. So I can say like this. So we are going to show that I tell you, you can enjoy, most of if you are a neutral fan, you will definitely enjoy the Ethiopian play style. Style of play, because they want to we are that much tiny. We are not that much. We don't have the physique, the build, but you can see, the motive. The motive to play the ball, the motive to say the artistic, nature of the ball and the like. So a little bit of enjoyable football, but I can say it's a risky one for us, especially. But we don't have options because most of our opponents are, are from the West Africa, with good, physical, dominance and the like. So that's it.
Yeah. You're in a very, very difficult group. Group A, you've got the hosts, Cameroon, and they're going to be one of the favorites. You've got Burkina Faso, which another strong team, and a Cape Verde side, which even though they don't have the pedigree, they're a team on the up. They, in their World Cup qualifying, they did brilliantly. They pushed Nigeria all the way. For you and for Ethiopians back home, what will be a successful tournament? What is the goal? What do you hope to get out of the tournament?
Well, we don't expect our national team to be in the knockout or to win the trophy. Most of us back in Ethiopia, we don't want to lose, with the biggest goal margins. I tell you, that's the truth. Most of us do not want that, and we do believe that our national team will not concede that, because we do believe, our national team is now, it's surging up, based on the level of competence with the other national team. So for most of us, we do expect, for our national team, to display a good football, to entertain us, to show our style of play, we want to display, which is a little bit of different when you compare from East African nations or other African nations, which used to play the ball here and there. So most of us do want that one, that we want the national team to show that style, and then also we really want them not to concede a lot of goals. But even for the national team coach, even for the players, we do expect most of the players to get the chance to play abroad through this AFCON, because we do believe that this AFCON will showcase, the talents, because Ethiopian players are undermined by the scouts, by the clubs, because there was the exposure, the level of exposure was limited until SuperSport, starts to broadcast our local league. So no one knows, in previous years, no one knows about the Ethiopian players, because unless they played in the AFCON and the like. So now things are getting changed, and then now the new generation is taking over in the national team. So we do expect them at least to get a chance to play abroad, at least in the bigger leagues in Africa, or in the the mid-level leagues in Europe. And North America. Just to recall, from the 2013 national team that played in South Africa after 31 years of absence in the AFCON, almost around 5 or 6 players get the chance to play in abroad, especially in the Egyptian league, and then also some others in the Sudanese and in the Algerian, the North African leagues, and then also some 1 or 2 players in the southern, in PSL, in South Africa Premier Division. So we do believe that this tournament will give us the chance, and will give the chance for our players, at least, to continue the momentum, because by this time we do have only 2 players from, only 2 players who are playing the trade in abroad, one in Egypt, one in Algeria. So we want that to be changed, like the lack of Abubakar, and then also Emmanuel, and the like good talents need to play abroad. And this AFCON, we do expect this AFCON to give them the chance to play, to showcase their talent. Try the best there in abroad.
And just, you just briefly touched on them there. Could you just very briefly tell us just like 1 or 2 of the players that, for people who aren't familiar with the Ethiopian national team, they need to keep an eye out for in this AFCON when they're watching?
Well, if you're in recent years, in the past 6 months or 1 year, if you go and check the Ethiopian football, stories, and anywhere in the world, in the outlets, you may definitely, come up with the name Abubakar Nasser. This 21-year striker has scored 29 goals last season in Ethiopian Premier League in 23 league games. And then, if you recall, in his game versus Ghana in the World Cup qualifiers, and then also in his versus South Africa and Zimbabwe, you can see the talent. That 21-year striker is a talent to be watched and then to be followed. So we do expect him. He's now in form. In the last now our league, the Ethiopian domestic league, is in the 8th round. We are on the match week 8. In the first 3-4 weeks, he was not on form because there were lots of he was playing for the U23 national team in the CECAFA tournament. He was playing in the World Cup qualifiers, and then also he was in the CAF Confederation Cup with his club, Ethiopian Coffee. This all had, he had a lot of burdens, and then it was that he was fatigued, and then he was even he had been overbenched in some games and was not on form. But now he's gaining his form, so this talent should be scouted. One should look for this talent. The other one is Emmanuel Gabriel Michael, another winger. He's 22 years old. He plays at St. George. Previously, he was a Premier League, like Abubakar Abubakar won the league with the Ethiopian Coffee. He was Emmanuel Gabriel Michael was with Makale Sabanderta. He was top scorer 2 seasons ago with Makale Sabanderta in Ethiopian domestic league. Now he's playing his trade in the oldest and the most successful club in Ethiopia as St. George. His talent also should be seen. And then if you give him the chance to give me the chance to say some about the defenders, we have good defenders, especially wing backs. I can say Menaf Awol should be also be seen. And then also in the attacking side, if he gets a chance to play, if he gets a chance to start, I can say Dawa Hutesa, another 24-year-old youngster who is currently playing for Adama. He's also a very good player. So I can say on average, the team is, it's very difficult to single out 1 or 2 talents, but the team is good. I can tell you the average age is around 26 years of age. 26 years, the average age of the team. And then also only 3 players from the last AFCON, for the one they played in 2030, only 3 players are in this national team. 3 experienced players. Shimalis Bakala now is currently playing in Egypt. The other one is Gaetana Kabada. Gaetana was in South African League for Bidwet Pretoria University. Had been there. Even he returned back to Ethiopia 4 years ago, and he won the Ethiopian top flight league. Top goal scorer. He won the Golden Boot. So these 2 are the most experienced players, but the other one are, the other ones are the top players in the league, the younger stars, I can say, 25, 26, 27 years of age. Most of them are on that range. And then the average age of is around 26 years of age. So we do expect, an average team, and then top talents like Abubakar will definitely impress.
Abubakar Nasser is certainly one to watch up front for the Walias. Our final team in Group A is Cape Verde, one of the smallest nations to enter the tournament, but certainly not here to make up the numbers. Earlier, I caught up with centre-back Roberto Lopes, who had to explain to me why a starting centre-back for the Cape Verde had an Irish accent.
Yeah, so I was born in Ireland and I've lived here all my life. My mother is Irish and she's the same. She's lived here all her life. But my father is from Cape Verde. He comes from the island of Sanny Clow. And he came to Ireland when he was in his 30s. In his late 20s, 30s. And he met my mother and obviously started a family. And that's where my Cape Verdean background comes from. And that's why I'm eligible to play for the Cape Verdean national team.
That's class. And I mean, I'm having a look at the guys play for the side. They're coming from, all over, folks playing on the African continent, all across Europe, quite a few in Portugal. Is that a kind of a thing, an actual strategy of the Cape Verdean team, bringing in kind of people from the diaspora? I know a lot of countries in Africa really rely on their diaspora, or are you more just an outlier and just playing as yourself?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a particular strategy. I think a lot of people seem to emigrate from Cape Verde. That's what seems to be the norm in search of work, and they set up families across Europe, as you say, across parts of Africa as well. And yeah, it's about getting the best players into the team. And to be fair to the coaching staff and the federation, they look far and abroad, and it doesn't matter where you're playing. If you're good enough, they'll bring you into the squad and you'll get the opportunity to play.
That's class. I mean, I'm looking at the Cape Verde kind of performances over the last year, and for such a small nation, kind of performance to qualify for the AFCON and kind of quite a tricky group and push Cameroon really, really close to win the group. And then as well as you had this World Cup campaign that we just finished this year, where you were so close to knocking out Nigeria, obviously like as big as it gets in Africa. What has made you guys so successful despite being such a small team coming from such a small kind of archipelago?
Yeah, we're a really close-knit team, I suppose you could say. And everyone is really close friends. And when you're in the group, you feel about 10 feet tall because everyone wants you to succeed and do well. And we have a shared dream, which is to sort of put Cape Verde on the map. And it's just when there's lots of passion in the group. We get that from the coach, from the federation, and it just trickles all the way down through the team. And I think every time we step onto the pitch, we want to give our best for Cape Verde.
Yeah, brilliant. And before we came on, you were telling me about how brilliant the people of Cape Verde have been, particularly in those home games. Can you just tell us what has that been like, actually going there, playing on the islands, and kind of representing the country? How has that been?
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible experience to say. I've been to Cape Verde maybe twice before I was actually involved in the football team, and that was a long time ago. And I've only ever been to where my father's from, Sanny Clow. So the games are sort of spread between two islands at the moment, Santiago and São Vicente, and the World Cup qualifiers were played in São Vicente. And as soon as we got off the plane, we were welcomed by supporters with dancing and playing music, and they followed us all the way to the hotel. And then at the games, there just seems to be a great buzz in the city, and they come out on their drones to watch training and what at the games itself. And I think we beat Liberia it was a fourth game in the World Cup qualifiers, and it felt like we won the World Cup. And the celebrations went all over the road. They followed us back to the hotel, and it was just an incredible feeling. It kind of lifts you in a way when you're representing Cape Verde, because the people there get so much joy, and they just really want to see the team do well. And with that backing, it really does motivate the players.
Yeah, I mean that sounds absolutely incredible, and for such a small country and such a passionate footballing country, what do you think it means to the people of Cape Verde and yourself to kind of be coming to the AFCON? I mean, it's only the third time you guys have made it, so what does that mean to the country?
I think it promotes really good hope that anything is possible, and you can really be successful if you work hard. I think a lot of people in Cape Verde maybe look at the team and think that, Jesus, we're well able to compete with the rest of the world, not just in football, but in any walk of life. It probably gives people the confidence to say, you know what, just from because I'm from a small country, it doesn't mean I'm well able to go out there and compete with any country, regardless of what your profession is like. So in that way, I think it really does motivate the people in the country.
And kind of for you coming over and playing with the side, how do you find the kind of actual culture of the team itself, particularly compared to, you play for Shamrock Rovers, incredibly successful side in Ireland. So how do you feel like the footballing cultures between the two kind of compare, and how have you found kind of joining the dressing room in the last kind of couple of years?
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit different, and the main difference is probably the conditions. I suppose in Ireland we're sort of used to the rain and the wind and the cold, and then you're going across to Cape Verde and it's 30 degrees nearly all year round with the sun scorching. So obviously your training sort of adapts to that, like. But to be fair, there's a really high standard of quality in the team, like, so every day in training is intense, it's hard, and you know you're up against it. The culture is fantastic. I say that we have, like I said before, we have a great group of lads, and everyone is made feel welcome. It doesn't matter if you speak a little bit of the language or you speak it fluent. Everyone is involved. Everyone's up dancing. There's music constantly, and then it's a really good vibe and really good fun going to training. It really makes you. And some of our trips to the training ground has been one of the best experiences, because everyone's just involved. Everyone's up, they're talking, they're singing, they're dancing, and it's just a real camaraderie being formed.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Can you give us like a snapshot of a story or something of something that's happened whilst you guys are kind of in this squad, to give people a bit of an imagination, or is that kind of closed doors for us?
not that it's closed doors, but like that you every off occasion, like say after training or after games, like the music would be on and someone would go dancing, and then out of nowhere, like maybe someone you wouldn't expect, like a coach or a younger player, will jump up and just start dancing, and then everyone just gets involved, because it's an incredible that someone who was maybe a bit shy to get involved, they're just made feel like an absolute superstar then after that.
Oh, amazing. So I mean, looking at the team and the squad, obviously you guys are going to come kind of as one of the more kind of not entirely unknown, but a smaller country, and people think, particularly our listeners, viewers, everyone knows your Nigerias, your Algerias, your Egypt, these big teams. Kind of what is the on the pitch, what is the kind of style of play? How do you guys look to kind of model yourselves when you play? What's the philosophy like?
Yeah, obviously, well, we've got some really good attacking players in the team, and I think that's what we try and deal with in the matches, is try and get our attacking players on the ball, and we know they create problems. Like, obviously, I think the way the football game has gone in general, you need to be able to keep the ball, especially in hot conditions. So we try to maintain possession and work it and try and get it to our attacking players in really good attacking positions where they have the opportunity to run at people and beat people and get crossed into the box, like.
Yeah, and are there any players that you'd be telling people who are watching, keep an eye out for this guy, he's an absolute baller, or players you think are aside from yourself, of course?
No, there's definitely a couple. Like, I think the one that stands out is Ryan Mendes. He's been a massive player for Cape Verde. I remember watching him in the last African Cup of Nations and thinking to myself, geez, this player is unbelievable, and I've followed his career ever since. So he'd probably be our main man, and probably one of the most known players in Cape Verde. Another one would be Kenny Russia. He plays for Ulster Sons in Belgium at the moment, and Kenny is for someone who's such a small stature, like he's well able to mix it with some of the best players in Europe, like, and I think his profile is building with every game. Another one who I'm a big fan of, he's a fellow centre half. It's Stephen Fortes. It's actually on loan at Ulster Sons as well, and he did play with Lens before that, like, and obviously me being a centre half, I like to big up the defenders, but he's like a Rolls Royce when he plays again.
Amazing. That's good to know. For you, looking forward at the AFCON, is there I think obviously COVID has been a big thing the last couple of years. I think I saw that you weren't able to even link up with the squad once or twice because of it. Are you worried about the AFCON in terms of what might happen with COVID, or as a player, are you kind of maybe a bit worried about the impact it might have on you kind of getting about logistically or anything? Or is it for you guys, is it just like, nah, we're here to play, kind of, we really want to just focus on the football?
I suppose, yeah, no, like it's here, like, so I suppose it does play a prevalent role in the tournament going ahead. Like, obviously for such a prestigious tournament as the AFCON, you want the fans to be there. I think first and foremost, you want to have a big atmosphere, and the fact that we have Cameroon, who are the hosts in our group, like, you know, you're going to have everyone coming out to support them. So it'll be a great feeling to have a packed out stadium in a huge tournament. So hopefully the fans are allowed. There's not too much restrictions put in place in terms of getting down there. Like, we'll make sure on our end that we're all tested, and we all have everything we're asked for will be done to the highest level. We just hopefully when we get down there that nothing's changed in terms of fans attending the games, because at the end of the day, like, what these tournaments are about. It's about creating these big atmospheres, creating these big memories, and having fans there, of course, because that's what football is at its best with fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, fingers crossed, as many fans can get in as possible. I mean, looking at your group, yeah, you said you have the host Cameroon, Burkina Faso, and Ethiopia. You know, Burkina Faso, another big side. When you're looking at the group, your first game is that one against Ethiopia. Is that the kind of one you're thinking, this is the big one? If we want to get out of this group, we have to win this? Or are you kind of looking more just, each game as it comes, we're just going to take it as we go?
Yeah, I think obviously we're still a bit away. Like, so we haven't looked at any of the games in great detail, but I think every game is going to be a massive game because, and that's it's an old cliche, but like you don't get to these tournaments without being really, really good. Like, so obviously it's the first game in the group against Ethiopia, so it's one we really want to win just to get a good start in the group. To say get 3 points on the board as early as possible, and then obviously that'll settle the nerves hopefully, and we can go on and kick on into the next 2 games. Like, but no, we're not taking anyone lightly in the tournament or in our group.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's the standard I think is going to be really high for you personally going into this tournament, either in your group or kind of beyond that. Are there any kind of players that you're looking at, or teams that you're like, I really fancy myself going up against, Mohamed Salah or whoever it is? Are there any players you kind of, you've dreamed of playing against, or you really want to have a go at as a centre back?
Yeah. I don't know if I say I really fancy my chances, but no, yeah, dead right. I've obviously I love Sadio Mane. I'd love to come up against him on the pitch, and we did happen to play Senegal earlier on the year in June, but I was on the bench, so I'd love to be on the pitch with Sadio Mane, and of course Mo Salah as well. Like, these are top players that you only ever dream about playing against. So I finally had the opportunity. Like, hopefully now if it falls our way to come up against one of them, so I'd love them. Riyad Mahrez as well. Like, I'd love to see, hopefully not him do too much of his trickery against me, but I'd love to be on the same pitch against him.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of looking at the tournament for you personally or for the team, is there kind of a goal or an expectation? Want to get to the round of 16 or quarterfinals? I know you did that in 2013. That's an amazing achievement, but is it kind of want to do one better, or is it kind of we're there to play, let's kind of do one game at a time and see where we go?
Yeah, I think it has to be one game at a time, because if you start dreaming about the quarterfinals before you get out of your group, it could be a really disastrous. So I think the most important thing is we qualify for the tournament. We're not just there to just be a part of it. We want to compete in it. We want to be competitive, and I think going into the first game against Ethiopia, that'll be our goal, just to go in and try and win that and create a bit of momentum and take it from there. And then look, hopefully where we end up will be in the latter stages of the tournament, but you can't think about that until you're there, unfortunately.
Thanks so much to Roberto and to Firew, Abdoul, Karim and Francis for all coming onto the podcast to chat about Group A in the Africa Cup of Nations. That's all from us for Group A. If you want to hear more chat, whether it's preview pods or podcasts during the cup tournament covering the stories, the news and analysis, please do like and subscribe. And if you like the content we make it here on The Whistle, please leave us a review.